Hello, I'm Chuck Fulton with South Alabama Home Inspections, and welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk. I'm going to do a little brief series here on bathroom ventilation. This is probably the number one issue I run into with most houses here in South Alabama. And it's not just bathroom ventilation, but it's basically ventilation throughout the entire structure. But I figured I'd go ahead and focus on the bathrooms since most houses I've run into have some sort of ventilation issue in the bathroom itself. All it takes to put a high moisture load in your dwelling is really just a short shower. Basically just a 5-minute shower can put the humidity up to 93%. And so if you open up the bathroom door, moisture is attracted to dry areas. And so it's not going to be that big of a problem for moisture to start absorbing into your drywall and any other dry areas inside adjacent rooms to this. Now, the towel hanging on the door is a good example of how you might be able to tell if you've got high humid conditions in your home if you don't have a humidity gauge like you see on the left side of the photograph. If you come home after work and you took a shower, say 5 or 6 o'clock that morning, you come home at 5 and that towel is still really damp, that could be a very well good indicator that you got a high moisture problem inside your house. What you're looking at in this slide is a thermal image of a bathroom ventilation fan. And if you look on the left side of this photograph, you'll see this dark blue area. And what's happening is there's no ventilation duct connected to the top side of this, venting this moist air to the exterior of the building. And so basically all that's happening is water is condensing on the top side of this drywall, and it's actually kind of pooling there as well. And this is going to be a very good spot for both mold and mildew to grow on both the inside part of the drywall and also the attic side. What we're looking at in this photograph is an old ventilation fan. And so you can tell this is starting to near its end of service life by the fact that it's starting to yellow. Most smoke detector companies actually add this chemical to the plastics when they make their smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors as a visual indicator that it's time to change them out. And usually that's about 10 years. And I don't know why they would put this in ventilation fan housings, but it looks like that may have been the case. But really the big problem here is look how much dust is on all four sides of this ventilation fan. So it's pretty much not taking any kind of intake at all as a result of this. So, these need to be cleaned occasionally. So make sure, take the time to go up and look at it and make sure there's not any dust on the non-visible side of this, like inside the housing itself. You can see in this photograph some staining on the drywall ceiling around this bathroom ventilation fan. And this is another fan that's not ducted to the exterior of the structure. But you can also see this can light and rust starting to form there as well. And so there's a good chance that on the top side of this metal housing, there's probably rust there and could very well be mold on the back side of this drywall too, on the attic side of it. So if you was to take a thermal image of this, you'd probably see dark blue areas on both sides and maybe even all around this ventilation fan. All the images you see in this slide presentation are photographs I've taken at inspections I've done in the past. And this is a photograph of a air conditioning registry in the ceiling of a bathroom. And what happens is if you take a shower and you don't have a powerful enough ventilation fan, or if you don't turn it on at all, what happens is the steam in there will condense on this register and it will soak this drywall and it won't be visible. You won't be able to see the moisture being absorbed into this thing until you start seeing the mold forming in the front of it or around it. And often this mold can be much worse on the attic side of this. So you could have a mold problem going on behind this long before it becomes visible to the front side of it. And that's another reason why you want to have adequate bathroom fans. And also you want to run them 10 minutes. Now that's the length of time you want to run your exhaust after taking a bath or a shower. Now, this is something I find very frequently, and and even find it with new construction. Now, I will say this, so some of these builders have gotten pretty good about no longer doing this. They're now starting to take the time to vent this correctly. But what you're looking at is a ventilation ductwork that terminates with inside the attic, and moisture rises like helium. It's lighter than air, and that's why you see right up here on the above part of this, this is mold or mildew growing on the decking inside the attic. And that may even be some black mold back here on the far side of it. So if you have your ventilation ductwork terminating in the attic, this really does need to be vented to the exterior of the structure. This is often, especially in new construction, the type of exterior vents they're using for bathroom ventilation fans. And often these are made of plastic. And so I question how long these are going to last, especially if there's any kind of sunlight hitting them for any significant portion of the daylight hours, because plastic usually doesn't fare too well and will get brittle and crack. And in fact, if you look at this right one, you can see this louver is kind of stuck open. So that's something else that if you have just recently bought a new house, you probably want to take the time to look at these occasionally to see if they're starting to deteriorate due to UV light, and you may need to replace these with something more durable. I call moisture issues the problem no one thinks they have. And the reason why they don't think they have it is because most of it's not visible. Usually, a lot of these moisture problems are in areas that are simply hidden from sight. In one case, it's like this light switch here. You wouldn't know that there was a big rust problem going on with it unless you remove the cover. Now, another little bit more obvious area is this hinge on a bathroom door, which is really rusted. It may not show up too well in this photograph here, but when I go and do these bathroom inspections, I will take the time to look at these hinges. Now, granted, some of these hinges are brass, so you're not going to see rust there if they're really good brass. But that's the problem with moisture. It usually creates problems in areas not visible, and that's why you really have to take the time to be aware that your bathroom is contributing to big problems inside your house. And it can be creating mold all over the house, not just the bathroom. I figured I'd try to kill two birds with one stone with this slide. If you look in the left photograph, you can see in the corner some black mold. This is actually over a shower enclosure, but you can also see where they tried to paint over it, and it's now bleeding through the paint. Anytime that you have mold on drywall or any other area, it needs to be killed prior to painting it, because it will simply just bleed back through the surface. And by the way, you don't want to use bleach to do that with, and I don't want to get into ways to kill mold, but what I recommend doing is going to look at episode 17. That kind of explains why bleach is a very bad product to use for killing mold. But what's not visible here, and this could be going on in your bathroom right now, most ceilings are painted white. You can have white mildew covering the entire ceiling and it just blends right on in, making it just simply not visible. Now, another product that I recommend is this M1. I used to sell this when I worked at a building supply company back in the 80s. And this is a paint additive that's good for both exterior and interior paint. And this doesn't kill mold, but it's a mold and fungus preventative substance that when you add it to your paint will help protect your surfaces from developing mold and fungus in the future. So I highly recommend this product, and you can find it at most of your local hardware stores. Fortunately for all of us, we live in the information age, and as a result, there's some very good products out there on the market, especially when it comes to ventilation fans. I recently replaced mine in my bathrooms with this here. This is it's called the Delta Breeze series, and this particular model has, well, flush mount, and also, another thing that has to be taken into consideration is the square footage of your bathroom, because another thing that I find is very large bathrooms that have very small fans, and the fans are simply just not big enough to ventilate that large area. But the point I'm trying to make with this particular slide is this bathroom fan has a humidity sensor in it. Now, the model I have also has a motion detector in it too, so there's actually no wall switch to the ventilation fan in my bathroom. If you walk in there, it turns on, and if you turn the shower on, it automatically comes on because it has a humidity sensor in there, and it won't shut off until the humidity reaches a low level. So really, this is really the better option to use in your bathrooms, I believe. It's these fans that require no manual activation of them, because you may know as a result of this live presentation to run the bathroom fan 10 minutes after taking a shower or bath. But if you got children in the house, are they going to remember to do that? Well, that's the reason why I think these fans are the better option. And this is really the good time of the year to do this, especially if your bathroom fans are venting into the attic. We're in the winter time, so it's not 120 degrees in your attic, and now's the time to do these kind of projects to where it's not so hot, where you can go up in the attic and extend the ventilation duct work out to the exterior of the structure and do projects like this. So I highly recommend these fans like this. And really the place to go to look at these is Amazon. Just type in bathroom ventilation fan, humidity controlled, and you'll see some of these models come up. Thanks for taking the time to watch this presentation. I have over 80 videos posted on Southern Home Talk, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel Southern Home Talk, and we're also Southern Home Talk on Facebook, and it'd be good to like that page as well. Knowledge is power, and it's also savings too. And so you might want to take a look at episode 20 on range hoods, and there's another episode 26 on mold and moisture. That was a little bit long, but it's the number one problem we face here with our homes in South Alabama. And so if you take the time to look at these, you might discover issues with your house that you might need to address. So anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I'm Chuck Phillip with South Alabama Home Inspections, and we also do general conditions inspections too that don't cost that much, and we'll come out there and take a look at the envelope of your house and the interior. And we have ways and equipment to look at your house with thermal imaging and stuff like that, and might be able to discover some problems you might not know you have. So thanks again.